What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Season 2 Hype Train! The finale is coming out! We are so close! And today, folks, I'm going to be doing my predictions, my final predictions, and explaining the new Doctor Who theory right to your TV screens all at home, or phones, or laptops. Doctor Who price theory. The price is right, folks. And you know what else is right? Hitting the subscribe button. Am I desperate? Yes, I'm desperate. We are so close to 30,000 subscribers. I have done the math and it is just about possible for us to hit our target of 30k by the end of the series. To all of the goats out there, I leave the rest to you. People on Reddit, people on Twitter, people on Facebook, people on MySpace, bro. I don't know. I don't care. We gotta do this, people. And I also want to take this opportunity to tell you right now, if you do subscribe, you will not regret it. The videos I got planned for after the series ends have even blown me away, and asked the Discord server for proof. But anyway, with all of that said, what the hell is going on with Wishworld? We have a hell of a lot of information to go through today, people. So let's just dive right in. Russell T Davies, the Kid T Dizzle, he said on his Instagram that this image right here, Conrad, Mrs. Flood, and the Rani, is not the full unholy trinity. Now, for those who are fully out of the loop, in DWM, the Kid TD said that the villains of this series would be known as the unholy trinity. So we've been speculating who they are for the longest. We got Conrad, we now got the Rani, and there's a mysterious third figure too. Who might that be? Poppy from Space Babies? I said this last week, but the underdog theory, which may or may not be true, probably isn't true, but I do love it, is the one that says that Belinda and her parents are the unholy trinity because their names could spell out Harbinger. I don't know if this one is true, but I said it a few weeks ago now and I love it. You can check out the past video for context if you want. But realistically, there aren't that many people it could be. Mrs. Flood did pick up the Master's tooth. Maybe it could be the Master? Michelle Gomez was at the premiere, people. As was Joe Martin and Carol Ann Ford. All of whom later showed up in the series. So, is that confirmation? Is that Missy in the finale? Lock it in, people. The third member. 3 time ladies? Question mark? Maybe. This could also be one of those weird things where it confirms that Missy is after Sasha the One, even though that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It would fit with RTD though, you know, he gives to the Chibnall fans and then he taketh away. I wouldn't put it past him. Her being at that premiere is mighty suspicious. Cameo confirmed? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I just want the fugitive doctor to show up again. But if it isn't Missy, who could it be? I'ma be real, I've got no fucking clue. If I'm being honest, my dumbass didn't even put together that Conrad and the 2 Ranis could be the Trinity until someone in the Discord posted it. So I think that says it all when it comes to this stuff. Something I do want to throw out there though, is that in my first ever video on the channel, I made a joke that the Toymaker, the Rani, Susan, and Omega would be included in the RTD2 era. And the only person so far who has not been included in this era is Omega. The main contenders for who he is of course the Master, who I don't think it is, just for the record guys. The Celestial Toymaker, who is a character from the 60s episode The Celestial Toymaker, and he also showed up in Big Finish. The Rani, you know, it could always be the Rani. I don't think it's the Rani, guys. Some people think it's Omega because this is an anniversary special and he's usually the villain in those. I don't think it's him either, unless he is turned into an entirely new character. Seems a bit strange. So my bets are on him. This shit has always been a meme, by the way. Since like 2010, every single mystery box, fans have always speculated, oh, it's Susan, the Rani, Omega, etc. You guys can check. It's literally the biggest meme. So I suppose one day we'll be right. And I think today is that day. Speaking legitimately for a second, you know, stepping back from all of this, I feel like the Russell T Davies 1 era kind of primed us for this. As I said, back in 2010, we were all speculating that, like, not as a meme originally, it became a meme later, but at first, that's what we thought the logical next step was. So it's kind of wild that the RTD2 era kind of just continues with where we just left off. Like, yeah, if Rusty Davies stayed on for 2010, the villain probably would have been the Celestial Toymaker. And then after that, it probably would have been the Rani. And then Susan and Omega would probably show up. I mean, that isn't even a meme at this point. I mean, we can see right here. Not Omega. I mean, being real, he probably ain't gonna be in it. But just for the meme, let it happen, man. So as the third member of the Unholy Trinity, I'm gonna say him. Just so my channel can come full circle and the prediction I made back in early 2023 when I didn't know how to make videos and was recording using my built-in laptop mic and everything was shit can come true. Bring it home, Mr. T. Davies. But holy crap, that question is just the tip of the mystery iceberg. What the hell is happening here? The Doctor's dressed up like a spiffing chap, like a dapper young gentleman. There's dinosaur skeletons walking around. Ruby's mom is kinda homeless. Ruby's also there. Mel is there. Unit is there. Who is not there? We didn't get a next time trailer, but we did get a sneak peek that showed Conrad, the conniving bastard, doing propaganda on the TV screens. What is this, lie of the land? That's not a good sign. In case it wasn't obvious, I am very nervous about this series finale. It has the potential to bring everything home and tie the whole era together, and it also has the potential to be a complete and utter mess. So please, don't let me down, kid. We are all behind you. We are all cheering for you. Anyway, my guess is that somehow Conrad has taken over the world thanks to the Rani, and that this is his wish world. And that's why it's all old-timey and Unit are working for him, and there's these Big Brother posters all over the place with evil slogans. The Doctor and everyone are working for him in a repurposed Unit set that's meant to look like the Ministry of Magic or the TVA or that place from WandaVision, I don't know. Speaking of HP, Conrad is reading a book about Doctor Who called, let me see if I can make that one out, Doctor Who and the Doctor Who? It's a pretty unimaginative name. But this does tie into my theory of stories and storybooks and the God of Stories. Rest in peace, the God of Stories theory. It was a good one. It was a good one. I maintain that it was a good one. Maybe even better than it being the Rani. But I'm not salty. I mourn it. I mourn it. I'm over it. I'm not over it. But anyway, I think everyone has been pulled into this reality, right? Belinda and the Doctor are married because they're in love. And they even have a baby. Poppy from Space Babies? Question mark. What the fuck? She's back yet again. What does this mean? We'll get back to them in a second. But the Rani also has a baby, all of her own. Is this baby Susan? Will Susan come back in the finale? Will her inclusion only be a random one-off in last week's episode? I hope not. That would be dumb as fuck. Hopefully she comes back. Hopefully the fugitive Doctor comes back too. It would seem mighty random to bring them in to do a cameo, but not for anything else. If they are just cameos, I will be disappointed. I'm saying that right now, okay? If that happens, I'm gonna be disappointed. Please don't let me clip this. But this all ties back to the Rani's plan. What is the Rani's plan? In the last video, I went over who the Rani is and how she's all about experiments, science, and in this one it also seems like she's kind of a eugenicist, which is not a good thing. Another lingering thread from that conversation all the way back in Space Babbies where the Rani got name dropped is the fact that Doctor Who is the last of the Time Lords. You remember that? Even though it's not even remotely true, even just in the context of this era. The point is, it's almost true, and it provides a good enough motivation for the Rani to want to do stuff. She wants to bring back the Time Lords. How could I not see it coming? That's what the Space Babies were. That's what the obsession with babies is. That's why Ncuti Gatwa called himself and Belinda Mum and Dad in that one Instagram post, which I can't find anymore. It all makes sense now. It's the Rani's experiment to bring back the Time Lords, but to sacrifice Earth to do it, so the Doctor has to step up to stop his own people from returning. The drama! And a story that totally hasn't been done before. But when has something already been done stopped anyone from making a perfectly good story? Anyway, this is all supposed to be a theory, so take it all with a pinch of salt, a grain of salt. Another theory I have is the line Russell T Davies teased, "That's not how tables work," which is, in my opinion, referring to this exact moment right here, the one in the picture. You want to hear my evidence for this? This one's a real doozy. He's looking at a table. So my theory is that everyone will be sucked into this alternate reality, including the Doctor, because, you know, the TARDIS doors were exploded. And the Doctor will snap out of it by looking at a table and seeing a glitch in the Matrix. Kind of like that one copy pasta about the star quarterback who looked at a lamp and the color was wrong, and then he woke up in real life and his whole family was lost and life up to that point was wasted. You know the one I'm talking about. Also in the background are the guards from the Interstellar Song Contest. Don't look at me. I got nothing. But it seems everything from every episode is coming right back full circle in the finale. The space babbies, the guards, and Susan Twist? Question mark? What the fuck? In the same outfit as from the Devil's Cord? We are so back, gamers. Last year, I had a theory. I noticed something that no one else did. And I'm still holding on. Let go! No, I will not let go. I will keep a hold of this until it is proven untrue. But don't say that, you'll hurt my feelings. If you guys don't remember, Susan Triad appeared in every episode of the series last year, a creation of Sutek every time the TARDIS landed. This year, the Doctor puts down the Vindicator every time the TARDIS lands as a part of Mrs. Flood's... Hang on a second, this is just the exact same plotline again. Anyway, Susan Twist appeared as a tea lady in 1960s London and asked for £5 for her troubles from Doctor Who. How much? The Doctor responds, and nothing much is made of it. Doesn't seem like anything special until 2 episodes later. 73 yards. Still probably my favorite RTD2 episode, and something I hope will be brought back again in the finale. Lol. Ruby asks for a cup of Coca-Cola, and the price is £5? £5! I've never heard anything of the sort. That is beyond pricey, and it's called out in the episode too. And this isn't just me now. Listen to what I had to say about it 1 year ago. The Coca-Cola is £5. This, on the face of it, is ridiculous. In the same manner that the cup of tea for £0.50 was ridiculous in the Devil's Cord.
That's £0.50, tar very much.
How much?
£0.50 in old money is about the equivalent to £6 or £7, so that for a cup of tea and £5 for a Coke are crazy overpriced. So, what does this mean?
I don't know.
But she's back! We did know that she would be back, it was in the cast list. But still, is this just an Easter egg? What? In fact, that's kind of my response to everything. We got these big ass skeletons. What? 2 Ronnies? What? The Ronnie Sonic Screwdriver? What? This thing? What? Belinda and Doctor Who got married and had kids though, so what more can a man ask for? I'm loving life! The villainous Rani is skulking. But talking of the Rani, let's talk about her reveal. In fact, let's talk about the whole of last episode, because this is a community reaction video now. Yes guys, I'm getting you all in on the action too. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think is going to happen in the finale, and if you have any theories on what it's going to be, don't hesitate man, I'm all ears. So looking it in now as a kind of recap, I feel like there will definitely be another villain reveal as the cliffhanger, and not just because Rusty Davies already told us that. I also desperately want Susan to come back, so for the sake of my mental state, I'm going to say that she's back and the Fugitive Doctor is back as well. Mel will meet the Rani, there'll be a reference to Time of the Rani, and also I don't believe the rumours that Shootigawa will regenerate because I'm on full copium. If you want to see all of the reasons, I made a video on it just a few weeks ago, and the real question is, do I go to the cinema to see it? Should I make a poll for that? But anyway, speaking of polls, okay, and here we are with the poll. This is going to be a very interesting one because this episode has sparked an explosion of a response. Not so much on YouTube. Now this is funny. I'm not actually that active on Twitter and I'm not on Reddit at all actually. But people have been sending me posts and I've been seeing through the grapevine that on every platform other than YouTube, damn, the response to this episode has been damning. But as you can see for yourself, on YouTube, people loved it. We've got 51% saying amazing, 29% saying good, 12% on alright, and 8% on bad. Something to point out is that 8% is higher than average, and that is because when people hated this episode, they hated it. it. That said, that 51% puts it above both Lucky Day and the Robot Revolution and about on the same level as Lux and the Story in the Engine, which I did a follow-up poll and it seems to be a similar result there. It's weird, right? Because I understand every criticism of the episode. I do, and I share a lot of them. Actually, I genuinely share a lot of them. And I feel like a lot of those points aren't unimportant. I feel like you can't really hand wave them aside. But at the same time, after watching that episode, my honest first impression was it was probably the most I'd enjoyed an episode of season 2 so far. It's interesting because a lot of these thoughts are very similar to what I had issue with in Lucky Day, in that its political messaging was frankly bad. Now, in this episode, I wouldn't say it's as ham-fisted as Lucky Day, but what I would say is that it needed to be perfect, and it really wasn't, which can lead to the episode being open to misinterpretation. In short, the episode has blind spots. It's coming from a good place, and it's well-intentioned, but those intentions are kind of meaningless because you can very easily misread and take the episode in quite a bad way. And so a lot of the points, a lot of the problems that I've seen people raising, I 1000% get, right? Like, I get it. Like, I was saying the same thing about Lucky Day. The difference is, and my difference in opinion, is that while I feel like Lucky Day had all of these problems that you could point to, they were all secondary to the fact that, in my opinion, Lucky Day is just a bad episode. Like, it just doesn't work as a story. Whereas this episode, it has a lot of similar problems, and it has a lot of issues that are kind of tangential to it, that we'll get into in just a second. But they're all secondary to the fact that this is a very highly entertaining, enjoyable, and watchable episode. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, this is Kablam 2. I'm kind of sick of people calling out Kablam. It's been one of those things where very blatantly the reason people keep saying it is because they haven't watched the episode. It's one of those cases where the episode's reputation is more important than the episode itself. A lot of the people who say that haven't watched Kablam. Now, with that said, Kablam shares a lot of the same issues that this episode has and Lucky Day has, but it also shares the same issues that In the Forest of the Night has and Kill the Moon has. Kill the Moon, in my opinion, is just the most egregious of this by fucking far. So when people say Kablam 2, I'm like, well, it's more like Kill the Moon 2. Kablam, people overly exaggerate how kind of corporate shill it is, in quotation marks. I will admit that there are definitely a few lines similar to how in this episode and how in Lucky Day are bad, but similarly to this episode, you kind of have to actively read against it to make it be as egregious as you make it sound. That's not to say that you can't have your opinion, but for me, that comment kind of annoys me because it comes off more as like Jodie Whittaker bad, Chris Chibnall bad, than actually the main point, which is that bad political allegory is bad. Kablam has problems. I will go into those problems at a later date. People so massively over-exaggerate those problems, and if we're being honest, this episode, which as I said, in isolation probably a good episode, as I think Kablam in isolation is probably a good episode. I mean, if we're talking about execution of themes here, this episode is just far, far worse. The comparison is ridiculous to me. Holy crap, what a preamble. Let's get on to the rest of the comments, folks. Here's a good one from Lone Silver Bullet. I love this guy's comments. I cannot overstate how insane the scene of the air bubble bursting, followed by the bodies floating into the air like a mushroom cloud of people was. The spectacle allowed by the Disney money has been used so well. Small moments of sheer magnitude like no other. It was a great moment. Something I will say though is that this episode being the most expensive ever, I mean, that's just mind-blowing to me. How can that be true? It's mostly just reused sets. It's entirely studio bound, which maybe that makes it more expensive. I don't know. Here's one from Chippy Gaming who says, what a reveal. I actively cheered. The post-credits too. Amazing. I wonder if Captain Poppy popping up in the last episode links into the Poppy Honey stuff from this episode. I'm also waiting for Belinda's parents to play a huge role before the finale. I can't wait to see what happens there. I'm a bit insecure about the finale, man. I really want it to be good, but I'm getting a bit nervous. Hey. Yeah, with the Susan reveal, I was kind of talking about this earlier. It has to be thematically relevant. I feel like if it isn't, and if she doesn't come back, and if that doesn't tie in somehow, and if Susan is just randomly included in this episode because, I don't know, Juno Dawson wanted to do something crazy for her story, god damn, will I be disappointed. It has to mean something, surely. Here's one from Benjamin McAllister. Okay, honestly, my main criticism comes down to how the fuck was the Doctor more sympathetic to Sutekh, the god of death, than a kid who was angry about his entire planet being genocided. Honestly, I think the episode would have worked fine if the Doctor just extended any level of sympathy to Kid, but instead instead he suddenly becomes a sadist, and then he just waves it away as being triggered. Honestly, a baffling character assassination. And a terrible example for the hero of the story to set to children watching. I guess it falls flat because the Doctor is supposed to be healed past his trauma, but instead uses it as an excuse to torture someone, so his entire character concept kind of falls apart. Yeah, it is ridiculous that the Doctor cried over Sutekh in Empire of Death. Not only because in the moment it was ridiculous, but also because now in this episode and in Lucky Day, his crash outs are insanely unjustified. Okay, I understand the kid was going to kill 3 trillion people, which is an insane amount of people. And also the script didn't need to make him kill that many people. But it does feel weird for the Doctor, and especially this version of the Doctor, to do that. I called it out of character then. This moment, honestly, this moment is better than in Lucky Day, because in Lucky Day it's never once called out. And Pete Mateague actively came out afterwards and said, yeah, that's not the Doctor speaking, that's me speaking, which isn't how you're meant to do it, big bro. But in this episode, at least they try and attempt to call it out. Of course, now my theory is that there was some script editing shenanigans here, because they massively set up Belinda about to go ham bone on the Doctor, and then she just don't, which is weird because it also feels like Belinda's character is just reverting to Ruby, which is strange. But at least there was an attempt to call the Doctor out on it, and the kid is definitely more villainous than Conrad. Yes, they add sympathy to the kid, but he was going to kill 3 trillion people. Right, Conrad wasn't going to kill 3 trillion people. Anyway, on the more positive side, here's a comment from Chicky7633 who says, continued legendary run of episodes. This one may be my favourite, although it's getting hard to tell which is on top at this point. For me, the story in the engine is the one on top. Susan pulling up got me rolling around the floor, but with the Rani, I was actually jumping and screaming. It's been so long since a scene in Doctor Who has given me those visceral reactions, but they did it! Now, I am a little scared for the finale, to be honest. I really hope they do a good job at handling the character. I honestly really didn't want Mrs. Flood to be the Rani. I don't know what I wanted, but she was the last on my list. I really hope they explain all of her fourth wall breaking stuff, and I also didn't really like how Mrs. Flood is now the new Ranis. It kind of sets up exactly how they resolve the finale with Mrs. Flood's betrayal. If that happens, it'll feel much more empty. I'm American and don't know Eurovision, but that whole setting of the space station and arena is so dystopian and scary. I love this era so much. 8.5 out of 10. I too love this era. And so with all that said, we are moving into the finale. Thank you everyone for the kind comments and just amazing insights and opinions on every video and on every episode so far. We're in the endgame now. And so with all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and a special thanks to everyone who helped support the channel. Tom, Cardboard Oracle, Silver Safi, Bunny, Zoom, Dr. Hoomst, Jack D. Murray, Vorshcom, The Instinct, Kai Keller, Renegade Time Lord 97, Manny, Eric, Ren, Poop Criminal, Diego, Theta, Dark Tranquil, Chicky, No More Flippin', 6 Doctor Fan 84, Comfy Glitch X, Harry, Sanyu, Amara God, Noah T, T Mara, Dobcool, Casual Log, E West, Christian Rothfuss, Unreal Dinnerbone, Aidan Davies, Reef Edwards, Space, Amber Knight, KCKC, Snarly, Connor Bell, Ertle the Turtle, Andrew Locke, Bill Fleming, Hush, Wasabi, Jessica, Kai M, Kylo Wade, Mel, Owen, Toby1 Kenobi, Sophie in the Sky, Goldfish, Johnny, Anthony Lentz, Fuchsia the Jester, Benzuko Lives, Freddy, Ross, JRW, Ethan Hiroki, GBZ, Cine Curious, Max Lee Epic Man, Steven, Onisan AFK, AJ, Swaro, Philippe, Nick, Kastretch, Just Him, and Teddy Bite. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.